Heartwarming journey, single mom discovers unexpected love with billionaire boss after shocking turn of events. Sarah wiped the perspiration from her brow as she rushed into the bustling diner, the scent of freshly baked muffins and brewing coffee swirling around her like a comforting embrace. She was a whirlwind of energy, already balancing her two little kids in her heart while pouring coffee and plating pancakes for customers who greeted her with warmth. She cast a bright smile at Mrs. Henderson, who smiled back knowingly, the kind of smile that told Sarah that her hard work and kindness were seen, even amidst the chaos of life as a single mother. Sarah had been navigating through grief since losing her husband, a devoted soldier who put his life on the line for their country. Every moment was a struggle, yet she held on to hope and dreams, a vibrant cupcake business as a profitable way to honor her husband's legacy while providing for their children. Her resolve was admirable, flickering like the old neon sign outside the diner. If she could just save enough, maybe she could make that dream a reality. Then everything changed in a heartbeat. She landed a job as the personal assistant to Jake, a billionaire CEO whose life was a world away from hers. He strode into the diner one morning, and the silver suit he wore glimmered under the dim lights. Eyes like storm clouds weighed heavily on him, reflecting both power and isolation. Their connection was immediate, an unexpected fumble that neither anticipated, two worlds colliding in an instant. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Their days began to intertwine. She bathed in the warmth of his laughter amidst board meetings and late-night emails. Jake marveled at her tenacity, admiring how she balanced work and motherhood with grit. But with every smile shared, whispers of judgment lined the air like thick fog, the whispers ignited by the contrasting worlds they inhabited. At a charity gala, a heart-stopping incident at the diner where Sarah worked shattered the usual peace of their surroundings, a father struggling to provide for his children as bills piled up like the steam from the coffee pots. In that moment, Sarah became a force of nature, rallying her co-workers as they poured their hearts and a little cash into the local fund while Jake observed silently. She embodied resilience, igniting a flicker of justice in his heart, provoking thoughts he'd buried amidst wealth and privilege. But as their connection deepened, misunderstandings from their very different lives crept in, shoving doubts into the cracks of their budding love. Could someone like her truly find happiness with a man heavy with familial expectations like him? As the weight of their secret fears and miscommunications collided, emotions escalated with tension, each moment more vulnerable than the last. Could love transcend the barriers they faced, or were they each destined to drift back to their separate worlds, leaving hope behind? When Sarah exposed the raw sacrifices that etched her spirit, and Jake struggled to peel back his own costly layers of wealth, the uncharted road of connection tempted them both. A pulse quickened, love hung thick in the air. Would they find their way past judgment and expectations, or was fate ready to throw one more curveball their way? The air crackled with tension as the night settled in after the charity gala. Sarah found herself standing next to Jake under the lantern-lit patio, the soft glow painting their faces in warm hues. Yet inside, her heart twisted with uncertainty. She wanted to reach for him, to bridge that invisible gap growing wider with each passing moment, but doubts clawed at her mind. "I didn't expect the night to unfold that way," Jake said, breaking the silence. His hands tucked deep in his pockets, he exuded an air of unease, so unlike his usual confidence. "You were amazing, Sarah. The way you helped that father, it takes a special kind of person." She smiled, but the weight of his words felt heavy. "I just did what anyone else would have done," she replied, picking at the hem of her dress. "Being a mom, I know how hard it is to juggle everything." Jake turned, his eyes locking onto hers. "But you don't just juggle. You transform." You inspire. Those words peeled back layers of Sarah's defenses, and she was left exposed, vulnerable. Jake, she hesitated, her voice faltering. You know I'm just a waitress with dreams. You could have anyone in the world, yet here you are with me. Why do you keep doubting us? His voice was firm yet soft, gentle but resolute. What's stopping you from believing in what we have? The question echoed in the silence like a thunderclap. Sarah felt the weight of her struggles crush down on her, the heartbreak of loss still haunting her every move. You live in a different world, Jake. Mine is made up of bills, tantrums, and sacrifice. It's not fair to you. Before she could finish, he stepped closer, closing the gap. What if I don't care about the world you think I belong to? I see you, Sarah, a woman who fights for her children, her dreams, and for others. That's what draws me to you. She trembled under his gaze. Her heart raced against her ribcage, wishing to leap toward him, yet icy fingers of self-doubt held her back. But what happens when reality crashes in? What will your family think? What will our lives look like together? Jake reached out, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. The warmth of his fingers ignited a spark within her, but her mind swirled with insecurities. You are more than a mother or a waitress. You are a force of nature, and nothing can change that. His words stung with both hope and fear. What if I fail? What if I can't make this work? Jake's expression softened as he took her hands in his, their warmth mingling beneath the night sky. Life is a risk, Sarah. And love is the greatest leap of faith. In that moment, Sarah's breath caught. She felt the pulse of connection thundering between them, and just like that, the barriers began to crumble. But before she could voice the yearning bursting within her, a loud crash shattered the night's stillness. From the shadows emerged a figure disheveled, wild-eyed, with desperation etched across their face. It was a man, gasping for breath, and he spoke a single fractured sentence that sent shockwaves through the air. Sarah. I need your help, it's urgent. The plea hung in the atmosphere, heavy and demanding. Sarah's heart dropped as she turned toward the stranger. Would this turn of events pull her away from the edge of a breaking point with Jake? Or would it forge a new path to understanding? With a mixture of fear and curiosity sparking in her heart, she stepped forward, leaving the moment of connection in question. What awaited her beyond the man's urgent gaze? Sarah's breath hitched as she regarded the stranger. The man's eyes held a storm of desperation, catching the light in a way that made her heart race for reasons beyond fear. Who was he? What urgency compelled him to seek her out? Please, he gasped again, stepping closer, his disheveled appearance growing clearer in the lantern light. It's about my sister. She's in trouble. Jake's expression hardened, his protective instincts kicking in. What kind of trouble? He asked, voice steady but filled with an edge of concern. The man rubbed his brow, clearly sweating. She was at a party earlier tonight. Something went terribly wrong. There were drugs involved. I need you to come with me. She won't talk to anyone else. Sarah's heart sank. Her instincts screamed at her to turn back, to stay with Jake, but the mention of someone in need tugged at her core. She understood that pull, the desire to help when someone else was suffering. Where is she? Just a few blocks away. She's scared and I don't know who else to trust. I just need you to talk to her. Jake's grip on her hands tightened, searching her eyes. Sarah, you don't have to do this. We can call the police or someone qualified. No. The urgency in the man's voice escalated, cutting through the night air. She's terrified of the police. Please, you have to come, she needs you. I'm begging you. Caught between two worlds, Sarah felt torn. The safety of this moment with Jake felt too precious to break, but the plea from the stranger ignited the fire deep within her, one she thought she'd buried long ago. For every child she had tended to, each moment spent soothing a hurt, fueled her need to help. All right, she whispered, the decision heavy on her tongue. The swift consent felt foreign, like a leap into cold water. I'll go. But let me, Sarah, Jake interrupted, his voice softening. This could be dangerous. I'll come with you. I don't want you going alone. Not like this. No, Jake. Her heart twisted at the thought of dragging him into the chaos of someone else's life. I can handle this. It's only a few blocks. I'll be fine. But what if it's what I have to do, Jake? The words spilled out, filled with a mix of determination and fear. I can't stand by when someone needs help. Their eyes locked, an electric moment suspended in time, but Jake eventually nodded, albeit reluctantly. Okay, but I'll be right here waiting for you when you come back. His unwavering support ignited new flames of courage within her. She turned back to the man, her stomach knotting with apprehension. Lead the way. As they started to walk, Sarah felt the weight of Jake's gaze settle on her back. It clung to her like a warm blanket, both comforting and bittersweet, reminding her of the connection they had almost formed. With each step she took away from him, uncertainty filled that fragile thread between them. With every block they crossed, anxiety mingled with determination. The night air now felt heavy, pressing against her chest as they rounded the corner. The man led her down a narrow, dimly lit alley, dread churning her stomach. What awaited her at the end? Just around the corner, he murmured, his voice barely audible. As they moved closer, the distant sound of muffled voices filled the air, tinged with anxiety. Sarah's heart raced, anticipation gnawing at her. What would she find waiting for her at the end of this dark path? Through the haze of fear and hope, Sarah felt a stirring inside, a sense of purpose she hadn't expected to find again. But as they approached, a sudden shriek pierced the night, echoing like a forewarning. Panic surged through her veins. What was about to unfold? And would it change everything she thought she knew? They turned the corner, and Sarah's stomach dropped. A group of young people stood huddled together under the flickering light of a broken street lamp. An intense energy crackled in the air, like a live wire waiting to spark chaos at any moment. She recognized the sound of laughter, but it was interspersed with frantic whispers and glances filled with anxiety. Let me do the talking, the man whispered, his earlier desperation morphing into a nervous edge. He hesitated, barely meeting her eyes. Sarah nodded, her pulse racing. She sensed that this was a pivotal moment not only for the girl they were searching for, but for herself as well. As they approached, Sarah could see a girl sitting on the pavement, her back against the cold, brick wall. She had wild hair and tear-streaked cheeks, the evidence of her distraught state glaringly clear. It was like staring at a mirror, reflecting memories of her own struggles. The girl looked up as they approached, and their eyes met. For an instant, it felt like the weight of all the pain and fear in the world hung between them. Sarah could see it, this girl was lost, fighting against a darkness that threatened to swallow her whole. Jessica? The man called, his voice a mix of relief and worry. I found someone who can help you. At the sound of her name, the girl recoiled, shrinking into herself as if trying to disappear into the shadows. No cops, she whispered urgently, her breath shaky. I don't want them involved. I can't go to jail. They won tea, he promised, kneeling at her side. This is Sarah. She's a nurse. She only wants to talk to you. Please, just let her help. Sarah stepped forward, her heart aching for this girl. The vulnerability in Jessica's eyes mirrored the pain she once carried. It's okay, Sarah said softly, kneeling so she was eye level with her. I'm here to listen. For a moment, silence enveloped them. The chaos of the world faded away until it was just the three of them in that dimly lit alley. Jessica's breathing calmed slightly, and she finally met Sarah's gaze, searching for something, then nodded hesitantly. Okay, Jessica whispered, but you have to promise no cops. I promise, Sarah assured her, feeling a warmth expand in her chest. She wanted to be the safety net this girl desperately needed. "You're safe with me." "What happened at the party?" As Jessica spoke, her words came tumbling out like a broken dam. She talked of friends who would rather ignore her cries for help, of drinks that weren't what they seemed, and a terrible misjudgment that left her stranded in a whirlwind she couldn't control. With each word, Sarah felt that familiar ache, a mix of anger and compassion igniting within her. She recalled her own struggles as a single mother, navigating a world that often felt unwelcoming, something she had vowed to shield others from. Suddenly, a shout rang out from the group behind them, laughter erupting into a scuffle. Jessica's eyes widened, panic washing over her face. "Stay calm," Sarah urged, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Yet, deep inside, the anxiety curled tightly, and she realized the danger wasn't just physical. It was the potential for something darker to pull Jessica back into a world of despair. The man, still kneeling beside Jessica, glanced nervously towards the group. "We need to move. Now." As they stood, Jessica's eyes darted between Sarah and the alley's entrance where shadows loomed. "I can't go back. I won't. We won't let you," Sarah promised, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We'll find a way, I swear." Just then, a figure broke away from the crowd, heading directly toward them. Fear coursed through Sarah, and her body stiffened, ready to protect. "Run!" the man shouted, his voice barely breaking through Sarah's mounting dread. But in that very moment, Sarah realized that this wasn't just about Jessica, it was her own test of courage, a chance to forge a new path not only for someone else but for herself as well. She wasn't just a bystander anymore, she was part of a mission, a movement towards hope. As they prepared to flee, Sarah turned back to the girl, determination blooming in her chest. "No matter what happens next, you're not alone." But Jessica's face suddenly paled. "You don't understand," she gasped, as words spilled out in a breathless rush. "It's not just the party, they're looking for me, Sarah. They won't stop until they find me." In that chilling confession, Sarah felt her heart plummet. Who was after Jessica? How deep did this rabbit hole really go? It seemed they had just begun to scratch the surface of something much darker. The alley felt like a trap, darkness looming as footsteps echoed behind them, drawing closer. The laughter from earlier twisted into something menacing. Sarah's heart raced, instinct screaming for action. "Who's looking for you, Jessica?" she whispered urgently, her eyes locked onto the girl's terrified gaze. She needed answers, and fast. "I can't say." Jessica's voice cracked, panic tightening her features. "If I do, they'll find out where I am. Please, you have to believe me. I'm in real danger." The man beside them inhaled sharply, scanning the entrance to the alley again. "We need to get out of here. Now. Can you still run?" Jessica hesitated, glancing down at her trembling hands. I don't know." "Look at me," Sarah said, squeezing her shoulder gently. "You're stronger than you think. We're going to get through this together. Just take a deep breath." "What if they catch me?" Jessica whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I can't go back, I can't." "Then don't," Sarah urged, feeling the heaviness settle over her. "Stay with us. We're your way forward." As if on cue, the figure that had been approaching suddenly stopped. A tall silhouette emerged from the shadows, features indistinguishable in the dim light. The laughter from the group intensified, a sea of uncertainty crashing around them. "Jessica!" a voice boomed, cutting through the tension. "You can't run from this. It's time to face your consequences. Go!" the man shouted, grabbing Jessica's hand without hesitation. They bolted down the alley, Sarah's heart pounding to the rhythm of their frantic footsteps. Adrenaline surged through Sarah as they sprinted. She could feel Jessica's terror beside her, every hurried breath growing louder, pushing them forward. The distant voices of the group dimmed, replaced by the relentless pounding of their hearts. "Where are we going?" Jessica gasped, breathless and panicked. I don't know," Sarah admitted, glancing at the man. No plan, no safety net, just an instinct to put distance between them and the chaos behind. They turned another corner, a chance moment as light flooded the path ahead. A small, unlit street branched off to the right. "In here," Sarah urged. They ducked into the side street, its quiet a stark contrast to the scene they'd left. It felt awkward and empty, but as they paused for breath, the stillness was welcomed. Just stay quiet," the man whispered, pressing against the wall. Jessica's eyes darted around, still wild with fear. "What do we do now?" "First, we breathe," Sarah said, catching her own breath as she tried to form a plan. She locked eyes with the man. "We need to figure out who's after her." He nodded, visibly shaken, his brow furrowed. "This is bigger than we thought." "Jessica, do you know why they're looking for you?" "I swear it was supposed to be a one-off thing," Jessica said, trembling. "But then they found out I saw something I wasn't meant to, something I never should have seen." Sarah's heart sank. "What did you see?" The sound of the crowd grew faint, but the weight of Jessica's words felt heavier than ever. "Some drugs, people hurting each other," Jessica whispered, biting her lip hard enough to draw blood. "I tried to leave, but their reach is long. They know who I am now." The pieces began to fall into place. This was no ordinary party, this was a glimpse into a dangerous world, one that Jessica had somehow stumbled upon. Sarah's impulse to protect grew into something fiercer, a determination to shield this girl from the darkness closing in. "Okay," Sarah said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "We need to get you somewhere safe. We can't stay here." But before they could move, a light flashed across the street, the silhouette of a figure materializing just ahead. Jessica's panic spiked, eyes wide. "Run!" The man shouted again, and they took off, stumbling blindly into the maze of darkened streets. As they fled, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to plunge deeper into a web of danger where trust would be tested, and survival would hinge on their choices. What lay ahead was a storm they had yet to face. But as Jessica wiped her tears and began to keep pace, Sarah couldn't help but feel that within this turmoil, they might just find the strength to fight back. But would it be enough to escape what was closing in on them? Fear propelled them forward, the darkness swallowing their hurried steps as they navigated unfamiliar streets. Jessica clung to the man's hand, her breath quickening. "Why are they after me?" she asked as they dashed into the shadows of another alley. "They think you know something they can't let get out," he said, eyes darting for signs of pursuit. "Something about drugs," she murmured, voice shaking. "I was just a bystander. I didn't want to see it." Sarah turned back, anxiety gripping her. Every ominous shadow seemed to flicker with danger. She could feel the weight of the night pressing in, but she pushed it aside. "We've got to keep moving. We can't let them catch you, not now." They rode the wave of adrenaline, turning corner after corner, blindly seeking places that felt safe. Streetlights flickered above, casting ghostly figures across the concrete. Each echoing footstep seemed to haunt them like a persistent reminder of the threat looming behind. "Sarah, I'm scared," Jessica confessed, tears welling again. "What if they find me? I don't want to go back." A pang of sympathy shot through Sarah. "You're not going back. I promise." But the gravity of her words dulled against the uncertainty ahead. With a glance at the man, Sarah felt the tension in the air shift. "Do you know anyone who can help us?" she pressed. "Yeah," he replied, jaw set hard. "But it's risky. We need to get a car, something quick." Before they could formulate a plan, the sound of footsteps echoed ominously behind them. The laughter and jeering of their pursuers crept back into focus, a dark reminder of the danger that refused to loosen its grip. "Down there!" The man pointed towards another side street that remained cloaked in shadows. Sarah led the way, pulling Jessica close. The three squeezed into the narrow concealment, hearts racing. "You need to trust us, Jessica," Sarah whispered, the urgency of her words pressing against the suffocating silence. Jessica nodded, though her face remained pale. It was clear she was fighting a losing battle against her fear. After several long seconds, the voices receded, swallowed by the night, but an invisible tension lingered, pressing in on them. "Okay, we need to get to the parking garage a few blocks away," the man said, glancing between the girls. "It's not far, but we have to be quick." As they moved, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Who were these people chasing Jessica, and what would they do if they caught her? Would they hurt her? The thoughts rattled around her head, making her stomach churn with dread. They approached the alley's end, the bustling street alive with oblivious pedestrians. "Stick close," the man instructed, leading them toward the parking entrance. Adrenaline pulsated through Sarah. Here they were, about to cross a threshold into a world full of risk, standing between what was known and what was lurking just beyond the edges of safety. She looked at Jessica, their eyes locking in a moment of unspoken understanding. In this blurring line between survival and surrender, Sarah swallowed hard as the sound of approaching footsteps echoed from behind. It was now or never. "Run for it!" she yelled, urging them into the expanse of the street. They sprinted, moving as quickly as legs would allow, dodging through oblivious bystanders, the air electric with uncertainty. But as they reached the parking garage and the heavy door slammed behind them, a solitary voice from the entrance called out Jessica. Frozen, Sarah turned back, fear coursing through her veins. The moment of truth had arrived, and there was nowhere to hide. Would they stand, fight, or flee? And in that precarious balance, would they finally uncover who was truly pulling the strings, or would the dark depths of danger consume them all? Jessica's heart thundered in her chest as she gripped Sarah's arm tighter. The voice echoed again, cutting through the heavy silence like a knife. "Jessica! Where are you?" The man stepped in front of them, eyes narrowed, ready to confront whoever emerged from the dark. "Stay behind me," he hissed, his posture tense and defensive. "Who is it? What do they want?" Jessica's voice was barely a whisper, panic rising in her as she peered past the man. She could almost taste the fear, bitter and cold. Sarah's mind raced. She had to act. "We can't just wait here. If we do, they'll find us." The heavy doors of the parking garage creaked ominously as if the very building shared in their dread. The man took a deep breath, his jaw tightening with resolve. "We need a car. If we can get out of here, we might have a chance." "Do you have keys?" Sarah asked, glancing around, her instincts shifting into high gear. "I do," he replied, producing a set dangling from his hand. "But we can't turn the ignition on until we've put enough distance between us and those who are looking for her." The shadows in the corner of the entrance danced menacingly, the voice still calling out. Sarah felt a shift in the atmosphere. There was something skipping just beneath the surface, a sense of time hanging thick like fog. "Look," the man said, disrupting her thoughts, "I'm going to go check it out. Just stay here and keep quiet." "No." Jessica broke in, her voice shaking. "I can't let you go alone. What if they catch you?" "Jessica," he said softly but firmly, "if I don't know what's out there, I can't protect you. You need to trust me." With a reluctant nod, Jessica took a shaky breath, her heart pounding. She felt so helpless, caught in a world of shadows and threats. As the man stepped cautiously back toward the entrance, Sarah took Jessica's hand again. "Stay close," she whispered. "We can't lose hope now." The sound of laughter hit them again from the street, harsh and mocking, weaving through the city's fabric. "This way." A figure emerged briefly, illuminated by a passing car's headlights, an imposing silhouette, fists clenched, scanning the area. What if we tried to find a different way out? Jessica suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. It has to be secured. If we can get to the basement, we might find another way, Sarah responded with urgency. But we have to act fast. If they hear us, don't say it, Jessica pleaded, squeezing Sarah's hand tighter. Fear coursed through them like an electric current, but nothing could extinguish the flicker of determination deep within their chests. The man emerged from the shadows, a mixture of frustration and resolve etched in his features. They're closer than I thought. We need to hurry, he urged, gesturing toward a narrow stairwell that wound down into darkness. What are we waiting for? Jessica cried, adrenaline kicking in, pushing aside her dread. Let us go. They moved as one, darting toward the stairwell. Each step was a heart-thumping leap toward uncertainty. As they descended into the dim light of the basement, a sharp sound ricocheted above them, a shouting voice, growing louder, followed by the unmistakable sound of footfalls approaching. Get in. The man ordered, his voice desperate now. Shoving themselves through the door at the bottom, they found themselves in a cramped concrete space. Sarah's breath hitched, chilling air surrounding them like a coffin. The echoing sounds above faded, but the tension clung to them fiercely. If they find this exit, Sarah started, but she couldn't finish. Then we're done for. The gravity of it settled over them. Jessica looked at Sarah, eyes wide with desperation. What do we do now? This can't be the end. In the silence of the moment, as their breaths mingled with the shadows, Sarah recognized the flicker of hope, something deeper than fear. They were more than just running, they were fighting for a future. Instincts ignited, and determination burned brightly. We'll find a way out, Sarah said, forcing resolve into her voice, glancing around the dark room. We have to. But as they strained to listen, a sharp metallic sound came from the door, a bolt sliding into place. Panic surged anew. We're trapped. Jessica gasped, scrambling backward, they found us. In that moment of dread, a thought echoed louder than the threats outside. Would they be rescued, or would this dark night consume everything? The answer hung heavy in the air, just like their fading breaths. Time was slipping away, and the game was far from over. The darkness of the cramped space felt more suffocating than ever. Jessica's heart raced as her breaths quickened, panic seeping into her every thought. What if they come down here? She whispered, her voice barely audible above the throbbing in her ears. The man, whose name they still didn't know, pressed his back against the door, scanning their surroundings. We need to find a way out. We can't stay here. Do you really think they'll just give up? Sarah asked, glancing nervously at the door. Her grip on Jessica's hand tightened, anchoring them both in that moment. What if they've blocked the other exits too? Then we break through, he said, his eyes flickering with determination. No. Jessica protested, fear surging through her. That could lead them right to us. We don't have a choice, he replied, the weight of their situation heavy in every word. We either find another way or we wait for them to come to us. And I don't like those odds. Jessica's stomach twisted. The thought of waiting, trapped in a small concrete box, made her skin crawl. What about my mom? She said suddenly, the reminder of the life waiting outside this nightmare slicing through the fear. What if they target her next? The man hesitated, guilt flashing across his face. We'll get out of this, I promise. We just have to be smart. They all stood still, breaths held as if they were too loud for the lurking shadows. Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, even in the dark corners of the basement. As her heart thudded in her chest, another sound joined the stillness, a low thump, followed by a faint scraping noise overhead. Did you hear that? Sarah's eyes widened. Yeah, the man whispered, straining to listen. They're coming down. Get back. They huddled together in the far corner, hearts pounding in a wild rhythm, echoing their fear. Sarah took a breath and looked at Jessica, planting hope in her gaze. If we can just stay quiet just for a few moments longer. The scraping sounded again, a metallic creaking that made Jessica's skin crawl. She pressed her palms against her ears, willing the noises to disappear. Every shadow felt alive, each heartbeat louder than before. She thought about the life she wanted, full of laughter, safety, and family. But that future felt impossibly distant now. "Let's check the other side of the room," the man urged, his voice steady. "There might be another exit." "You think we can trust them?" "Whoever they are, I mean," Jessica asked, glancing at the door, braced for the worst. "We don't have a choice, Jess." He moved slowly, scanning the area like a hunter, eyes darting against the walls. "If they know we're trapped, they'll have us in no time." The thought sent a chill through Jessica. She couldn't let that happen. She had to fight. They all had to fight. Moving cautiously, they crept toward the far wall, tension crackling in the air. Just as they reached a storage area stacked with dusty boxes, the door rattled, and they froze. Footsteps echoed from above, heavy and deliberate. "I can't do this," Jessica squeaked, panic rising again. "This can't be how it ends." The man turned to her, urgency pulsing between them. "We're not done fighting. Remember that." Just then, a loud bang reverberated through the building, and a sharp voice called down, "You think you can hide? We're coming for you." Heart in her throat, Jessica felt the walls close in around her. They had to act quickly. At that moment, she caught sight of something glimmering from behind the boxes, a rusted old pipe, just long enough to pry open a weak point in the basement wall. Desperation ignited within her. "There. We can get through there." "Are you sure?" Sarah asked, eyes wide with both fear and hope. "Yes. If we can just get past that, we might be free," Jessica exclaimed. They gathered the courage to push through, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Adrenaline surged through their veins as they prepared to break free from their fearful confinement. But as they began to inch toward the pipe, the shadows moved, and the heavy footsteps approached with a renewed determination. The moment of truth hung in the air. Would they escape? As the door splintered under the weight of footsteps, Jessica whispered, "Not today." And just as they prepared to make their break, the basement door exploded inward, revealing a chilling silhouette against the pale light. "Found you," the figure growled. Jessica's breath caught, the weight of their reality crashing down. Had they just walked into a trap? Jessica's heart sank as the figure stepped into the basement. It was like standing at the edge of a cliff, teetering over the void. The silhouette was tall, menacing. The harsh light from above cast deep shadows across his face, making him look even more intimidating. "Run!" Sarah hissed, pulling Jessica's arm, but there was nowhere to go. The man's jaw set, glaring at the figure who blocked their only exit. "We can't give up," he said, his voice a mix of reassurance and command. "Stay behind me." Jessica didn't want to believe this was the end. Her mind raced. Images of her mom flashed before her warm smile, the way she would laugh at the smallest things. Jessica couldn't let her mom down, couldn't let their story end here. The thought filled her with courage. "Who are you?" the figure demanded. His voice had a rough edge, as if he were used to getting what he wanted. He took a step closer, and the man instinctively stepped in front of them. "Just let us go," the man said, raising his hands, trying to show he meant no harm. "Let you go?" The figure laughed, dark and twisted. "Not a chance. You are very much a part of my plans now." Jessica felt bile rise in her throat. They were definitely in over their heads. Whatever this man's plans were, they couldn't be good. And when she looked back at him, she saw the determination in the man who stood in front of them, an unwavering resolve to protect her and Sarah. In a split-second decision, Jessica whispered to Sarah, "We need to distract him. Now." Sarah nodded, her breaths shallow as she adjusted her grip on Jessica's hand. The noise from above had lessened, but the oppressive atmosphere in the basement crackled with tension. They had one shot. "I'll distract him," Jessica said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You find a way out." "Are you crazy?" Sarah whispered back, eyes wide, panic flashing across her face. "It's the only way," Jessica insisted. She turned and took a step toward the figure, who was still peering toward the darkness of the basement. "Hey! Over here!" The man shifted his attention toward her, surprise flickering across his features. "What are you doing?" he hissed, desperation creeping into his tone. "Trust me," Jessica shouted, summoning every ounce of bravery she had. She moved to the side, hoping to create an opening. "Who do you think you are?" The figure's voice thundered, but it wasn't as frightening anymore. It was a mix of irritation and confusion. That was her cue. Jessica grabbed a nearby box and hurled it toward the far wall. It crashed loudly, the noise reverberating around them. "Now!" she shouted. Without waiting to see if they followed her lead, she moved to sprint past the figure, adrenaline coursing through her. The man and Sarah surged alongside her, pushing through the narrow corridor. In that frantic moment, everything felt lighter, like they had just shattered chains that bound them. But the figure roared. "Get back here!" They darted forward, squeezing through a narrow gap behind the boxes. Had they made the right choice? Jessica's heart thundered in her chest as they sped through the back of the basement. They burst through an old door that led outside. The cool night air hit them like a wave, refreshing and terrifying. In the hazy light of the moon, they saw the expanse of the yard laid out before them with trees and underbrush that could provide cover. "Go!" the man yelled, pushing them forward again. They ran, each step fueled by fear and the hope of escape. But the sound of footsteps padding behind them reminded Jessica that no matter how fast they moved, something sinister was both a step and a heartbeat behind. Just when Jessica thought they might be free, a dark shape burst through the door of the basement behind them. "Stop!" the figure shouted, and for a moment, Jessica's heart dropped. Would they really escape? Or were they fated to be caught? As they raced into the darkness ahead, Jessica vowed she wouldn't let fear dictate her fate. This was just the beginning, a fight for her future, a fight to protect everything she loved. Would their escape succeed? Or would they be dragged back into the shadows? In the cloak of darkness, Sarah, Jessica, and the man sprinted toward the trees, urgency propelling them through the underbrush. Each rustling leaf felt like a heartbeat beneath the weight of their escape. They had shattered the confines of the basement, but the danger still loomed like an unwelcome shadow. "Keep moving," the man urged, glancing back, eyes wild with adrenaline. Sarah felt her own heart racing, a mixture of dread and determination driving them forward. Behind them, the figure yelled, a haunting echo that sent chills cascading down their spines. They ducked beneath low branches, their breaths quick and desperate. "What's your name?" Jessica whispered, urgency lacing her tone, her eyes scanning the terrain for safety. "Ethan," he said, grit in his voice. "But we can't stop. Not until we're safe." The weight of Jessica's panic began to lift slightly with the presence of Ethan. They needed courage now more than ever. Sarah, too, felt the resolve growing within her, a fierce determination not just for Jessica but for the future they were fighting for. "Over here," Jessica called, directing them toward a denser patch of trees. "If we can just get far enough," but the silence that fell was deceiving. "Stay close," Sarah reminded, pulling both girls into the thicket, their breaths mingling with the sounds of the night. The world felt alive around them as adrenaline coursed through each heartbeat. Just as they caught a moment's breath, Jessica glanced back. "What if he catches us?" Her voice trembled, vulnerability lifting back to the surface. He won, Sarah said, though the uncertainty crept into her own heart. We just have to keep moving. But the woods felt heavy, burdened with unseen threats. Ethan pressed forward, determination crafting a path through the wilderness. Every crackle beneath their feet seemed like a warning shot, each rustle a reminder of the danger they'd left behind. As they became further entwined in the depths of the forest, Sarah embraced the bite of the chill air, letting it fuel the warmth of hope blooming in her heart. The appreciation of life, in all its messy beauty, surged through her. They stumbled upon a small clearing, illuminated by the moonlight filtering through the branches, a brief sense of tranquility amidst chaos. Jessica collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. "Are we safe?" she asked, glancing around, eyes wide. I don't know," Ethan admitted, worry clinging to his tone. "We need to keep moving, but we can rest here for a moment." Sarah knelt beside Jessica, cupping her face with care. "You're brave, Jessica. We'll get through this together." As if fate decided to intervene, a distant rustle rustled the bushes. They froze, hearts pounding loudly against the silence. "Not again," Ethan hissed, muscles coiling like springs. But before panic could drown them, a familiar voice called out from behind them. "Is everyone all right?" Sarah turned to see Jake emerging from the shadows, breathless but alive, a beacon of light amidst their turmoil. Relief washed over her as he stepped into the clearing, eyes scanning their faces. "Thank God," he said, exhaling a breath he seemed to be holding for eternity. "What are you doing here?" Sarah exclaimed, her voice a mix of shock and warmth. "I couldn't leave you. I had to come find you," he said, urgency echoing between them. "I heard what was happening, and I called some friends." Jessica's eyes widened, vulnerability shifting to hope. "But they're still after us. They know where we are." "All the more reason to keep moving," Jake said, confidence sharpening his tone. "I know a route through the woods, come on." Sarah felt the weight of dread lift as trust ignited within her. "Let us go." Taking Jessica's hand, they found their feet beneath them again. With every step, presence and momentum grew stronger, courage intertwining with determination. Jake led the way, weaving through the trees, guiding them away from the darkness that pursued. With the sense of danger still lurking behind them, they pressed forward, tethered together by purpose. Sarah's heart held the weight of love. For her children, for hope, for a new beginning. After what felt like an endless trek, they finally spotted a clearing up ahead. An old, run-down vehicle sat hidden beneath the branches, its faded paint barely visible in the shadows. "That's it," Jake said, pointing excitedly. "If it runs, we can get out of here." They rushed toward the car, weariness tingling in their legs. Jessica felt the energy of newfound hope surge. "Can it really work?" "Only one way to find out," Jake said, yanking open the driver's door, a determined glint in his eye. With Ethan and Sarah at each side, they climbed in, the chill of the night giving way to the warmth of urgency. As Jake fiddled with the keys, the feelings of fear began to boil into belief they were going to make it. The engine sputtered to life, a jagged but remarkable sound that filled the night. "Yes!" Jake shouted, relief wrapped in victory. "Go!" Jessica urged, panic rising again as the memory of danger clawed at her. Jake slammed the accelerator, and they shot off into the night, the darkness of the woods dissolving behind them. Sarah clutched Jessica's hand tightly, heart racing with the realization that they had survived at least for now. As they sped away from the chaos, Sarah stole a glance at Jake, gratitude swelling in her chest. Despite the trials they faced, they were together, united in purpose, ready to carve new paths through the uncertainty that remained ahead. The warm glow of hope enveloped them, igniting dreams of brighter days. In that car, they transcended fear, embodying resilience, forging a bond that would hold shadows at bay. And though darkness would inevitably follow, one truth burned brightly in Sarah's heart: they were not alone in this fight. They would rise together. Now, it's your turn to rise. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming conclusion. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.